Everyone, we are back on our god killing ways. My name is Donna. My pronouns are he, him. I'm running the game. Mads, why don't you introduce us to you and hell, plug something for the dozens of people who might watch this one day.
Hey, why not, right? So yeah, it's like I'm Mads, she, they pronouns. It's like I'm playing Wall, also she, they pronouns. And yeah, she is the god killer of this particular series, making her way from the cloistered abbey that she was at, um, and just trying to make sense of the world outside of where she'd been for so long. And yeah, as we worked up the tally before Donna hit the record, it's like three god kills in 5 sessions. Who knows? I don't know. I guess that's good ish. um, but yeah, I mean, and there's human troubles still about. There's the Wolf's Head gang or whatever you want to call them that are starting to overrun uh, this world that we are in, and she's still trying to figure out what or how she's doing what she's doing and seeing if she can help in any way. But I think right now she's reeling from last time when she pretty much burned down Lord Basfamel's fortress or castle or whatever. And she is companioned with Dogtooth of all gods. So we'll yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think Edmund, this king in exile, now lonely farmer on the edge of the world, um, has given you a few extra tidbits to feed into your worries about the wolf's head. Um, is there anything more you want to ask him, or before Dogtooth gets back with the turf?
Just as a reminder, he said that this has been going on for quite some time, even during his tenure as king. Yes, that the wolf's heads were always around in
Yeah,
some
so
shape or form.
I guess with the way, I mean, maybe he wasn't quite as explicit as that, but basically reading between the lines, the wolf's head were the muscle that the wizards used to usurp him and send him to exile.
Who knows if they're still in power if the wolf's head managed to yeah, overrun
Mhm.
like they have been. I mean, if anything, I mean, Wall knows that the wolf's heads are either working with or under the thumb of the orphan maker.
Yeah,
So things could have changed or things could have gotten worse since Edmund got exiled. Um, is his kingdom very far away from here?
that's the question I was just about to ask you.
Yeah.
I was inclined to have it, further west, so, in between the cloister and kind of the western edge of our little grid map.
Okay.
So do you think it's, relatively close to the cloister, or do you think it's far away? What's your inkling?
I'm trying to remember if there was something that she had read about him that she had seen. Because, I mean, like, legends are is as legends do, but I mean, like, is this something that his kingdom um, was so big that the coup would have been written about? or spoken about. I mean, it could have been just as easily a like a spoken tale rather than something that was written down in a book for the cloisters.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think it was, if it was, a petty kingdom, then it must have been very close. If you were handling coins with Edmund's, face on it.
Yeah.
But then maybe it's a big empire with a lot of trading, and then it doesn't really matter how far away it is. Those coins are going to pass through across your palms, let's say,
Right, right, right.
regardless. So, I mean, does maybe let's put it a question like this for Wall. Is Edmund's kingdom somewhere that she had imagined that she might have visited, if she ever got out of the cloister, or was it, too far away for her to even dream about?
I think it might have been something that felt too far away to dream about, right? I think Tiresias probably mentioned something about it, like as one of his tales that he would tell, um, in his gossipy way, but then like make it seem like it was just something that, you had to be as well traveled as he was. Like you had to, be willing to go around to all the different kingdoms and all of the different lands, and it's been like, he said it was like something like several years since he had been there, but he had heard the tale of what was told before he even got to that place. So by the
Mhm.
time he managed to visit that land, it's like Edmund was already ousted, the wizards were in control. Maybe there were hints of the wolf's head, but at that point, it was all 6 in 1, when she heard him talk about it. So it wasn't something that she was really thinking about. But yeah, it seemed like it was like very far away. Maybe not quite so much now. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something in the telling of Tiresias that just made it seem unattainable to her at the time.
yeah.
Um, okay. Um,
Oh, maybe she's remembering now. There was that little song that he wrote. Yeah, I think yeah, in his travels maybe like it was one of those little to Tiresias it was a bit inconsequential. So maybe he only made like a couple of stanzas about it instead of a full-blown song.
mhm.
And she starts to sing to Edmund a little bit as she's remembering like what Tiresias had said about that particular kingdom. Um, I know there's a specific name for a land that is run by wizards, but I can't remember exactly what the term is. But yeah, when it was a kingdom, um, Tiresias sang a little tale about it. Yeah, and then she says, "You're that king." I'm sorry. I You are real. You're just as real as I am. This is just a little song that a friend of mine sang uh, about what happened to you a long time ago. She's kind of like checking his face out to see if she offended.
Um, and I think Yeah, I think the song certainly has an impact, and it's maybe not the exact words of this song, but maybe the impression you get is that this is not an original song by your friend Tiresias. Maybe it's, just a, a a song he's heard, uh, maybe a traditional song from Edmund City that, uh, if not, uh, maybe it doesn't drive him to despair, but it certainly kind of reveals the ennui in his soul that this is not a song that he'd ever dreamt of hearing again. Um, and it brings to him everything he's lost.
I'm
I think,
sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. I was trying to remember what I had heard.
yeah, and the door opens, and Dogtooth, all too jocular for the current mood, springs in with a basket full of turf. And I mean, it's not that he can't read the mood; he's just already inside by the time his presence feels awkward. Oh well, I best be going. I have many things to do and many people to incite. Um, how about you all? Are you staying here for some more home comforts?
She kind of lowers her head but kind of checks out Edmund's face. Just does it seem like he's I mean, I'm not going to say welcoming, but I mean like does it seem like he wants company or does it seem like he wants her to go?
Um,
And if you want me to roll for it, I will. Or whatever.
well, let's see.
Or if he's like so upset with her that like, she needs to do as she's told. I mean,
Yeah, I
whatever.
mean, like, I think he is standing up and like maybe taking the basket from Dogtooth and like, I mean, he's not happy, but he is neither like neither does he seem like he is gonna kick you out right now. So I guess the question is like, do you take the hint from Dogtooth and do as you're told, or do you um do you stay and see what else you can get out of Edmund?
I know how I want to answer, but I'm like not sure exactly how it's going to be revealed for do as you're told.
Mhm.
Um I think, you know what? Okay. So I think I'm going to answer what vulnerability do you reveal? And I think she'll kind of like look at Edmund underneath her lashes and then realize that she's caused some pain and also realize that she's not equipped to be able to help handle that. And she just says to Dogtooth, "Do you want some company? I'm not I'm not really used to being out on the road by myself. And I don't want to impose. upon Edmund?
Um,
Basically, like trying to show that it's like, she doesn't want to go, like, go it alone by herself
yeah, yeah,
for too long, but also like, and also doesn't probably feel very comfortable like trying to sit with whatever Edmund's dealing with right now.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, you kind of get a sense, um, that that Dogtooth, kn knew exactly what kind of heartstring or whatever you want to call it you were going to pull. Um, and I think this is you get this glint in his eye that like this is almost like him showing you that these stories are not just stories. Um, uh, Out here outside the cloister, um, these things have there's real stakes um, at play. Um, so I think Dogtooth like doffs his cap to Edmund and bids him farewell. But I think before you leave, Edmund presses something into your palm. I think it's um, the hand that still is, a little bit, pins and needles affected
Hmm.
by your earliest wound. Um, and get this sense of, I don't know, frisson or electricity from the thing that he places in your palm. And he says to you, there are places in my city this will still have power. Well, this will open doors for you if you go there.
When she looks at it, what does she see?
So it's a like a chained token, not like a coin, say that you might have had in Newbridge, but something quite large, almost the size of the palm of your hand, like a badge of office or
Oh,
something. But it has, I don't know, like teeth or something around the edges that almost makes you think of a key.
makes me think of what?
A key
A
for
key?
unlocking a door.
Ah, okay. Thank you. I know it sounds not much right now, but I want to do something about the wolf's head. And when I do, I don't say if, I say when. When I do, I hope to come back here and let you know that your city is safe, if I may.
I know, child. That's why I give you this token.
Thank you. I'll see you again, Edmund. Yep. And she stows away the token and then follows Doghead, Dogtooth. So,
And yeah, he is, a few yards down the road, kind of looking westwards, and like his His foot is kind of tapping, not quite impatiently, but not quite patiently either. Um, well, that was fun. Uh, Always good to meet people with similar interests, isn't it?
Yes, and it's good to know that there are actual people behind the tales, behind the songs. I
Couldn't
saw
put it better
red.
myself.
I'm sorry?
Couldn't put it better myself.
Do you have a specific place that you're planning on inciting folks?
I mean, I don't pick up strays for the good of my health. Nor do
Interesting.
you, obviously. Uh-huh.
Huh. Well, I'm still surprised to have survived that, honestly. Do you know how long you were kept there?
I'm gonna say 11 months, but I'm not exactly sure.
Hmm.
Which, sometimes doesn't seem like a very long time, but when you're hanging on, does. And also the whatever is we're calling the current unfortunate state of the river. Yeah, seems like a very long time indeed.
Well, better to be out on the road, I guess, and seeing what you're going to see rather than hanging around and waiting for something to fill you up. And at that point, she's not really talking to Dogtooth anymore. She's kind of talking more internally.
Mm. Um, do you think you're looking for guidance, or you're just mulling something over? What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, I think without even realizing it, I think she's falling into the flow of the river, maybe. Um, Even as broken up as it is, and it's like praying for guidance. Um, yeah, where to go next? I think whether it be with good Dogtooth or, um, you know, set out to follow maybe the Wolf's Head path. Not sure. I
Mm.
mean, that may be where Dogtooth is going, but I mean, like she wants a little bit more direction, literally.
Okay.
Thinking.
Um, so which of those two are questions are you most interested in answering yourself?
What kind of God answers your prayers? Hmm. What's funny is the fact it's like being next to a god, if that's gonna like fuck it up, or if it's gonna just be more of a like, hey, quiet down, like over there, you know. Um, yeah, I mean, like let's make that funny yet ironic. So I think as she's like saying that to herself, maybe the godhood within Dog's Tooth is kind of responding to it in his own way.
Mm,
So, you know, I think even as she's saying to it, she's kind of like, feeling this weird, like energy tie, like kind of floating towards Dogtooth. She can feel it, but also see it in a weird way. And he just kind of like turns his head deliberately, towards her and saying, "Oi, you know what? I mean, I have specific answers myself, but not necessarily maybe what you want. And then I'd like to hear what kind of unclear omens or visions besiege me, even as his inner godhood is responding."
mm. Um, yeah, I'm right here. You could have just asked instead of going through official channels, right?
Exactly. But I mean, like, it could be funny. I mean, like, it could be what he says, but then what the actual
Yeah,
godhood, actually responds is different.
yeah. And I think in his kind of uh let's say usual refusal to take anything seriously, I think you
Right.
get very different feels from what he says and the way he
Mm-hmm.
acts, and then the visions you get, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he says, well, listen, you gotta decide whether you just want to go home and forget about all this, or find the people you think are at the heart of all this madness and make sure they don't pursue this matter any further. And I think you get this. Uh, I think it's like a memory that's coming back to you uh, after a blackout or something like this. It's just like this this vision, this really clear memory of you standing on top of a tower. And initially your kind of memory is that, oh, this is the tower in the cloister, right? But as you look out, it's not the cloister. It's a whole series of towers exactly the same, covering the city. And and then you feel yourself get pushed out of the tower. And as you flail in the air, you just see a wolf's head looking at you out of the doorway of this tower.
I think as I fall and then I land, but I'm landing in myself. And it's like, the force of that landing is just like forcing her to the ground. And she's like, all of a sudden, like looking up at Dogtooth, panting and like feeling like, shock that she's alive from being pushed. But then also realizing it's like, that was a vision and not actually happening. Although I was pushed. A land of towers. A city, something, many, many towers. And I was pushed out of one of them. What bloody hint is that? And she's just looking right up at Dogtooth and saying, "We need to do something about them."
Sure, but Surely you know all of the stanzas of the song.
That that was
Highest tower in the city of high towers, where the gods are sacrificed.
I, was that. I'm gonna ask you in all seriousness. Was that you that got pushed?
Me? Do I look like I've been thrown out of a tower?
You were strung up in one for 11 months.
Sure, but that was by someone I consider my friend. Well, colleague. I mean, acquaintance.
Right, right. But you obviously did something to piss him off, piss them off. So, uh,
I mean, you know Basfomol. He was a high-strung individual, likely to take offense at the most reasonable of stances.
yeah,
I mean,
yes.
it's me, right? I mean, how unreasonable could I be?
You said you suggested to somebody to leave Basfamel's presence. I think that's reason enough in Basfamel's mind to eke out punishment. I'm not saying I agree that that was what he should have done. I'm just saying, from what I remember, it sounds like that was something that he figured was just.
But I think all reasonable people, uh, especially in our present company, would agree that that was an act of injustice to truly torture someone for almost a year for some kind of imagined slight. Um,
So you didn't suggest to
well,
this
I
person.
mean, let bygones be bygones, okay?
I'm not saying that I'm taking offense at all. I agree. I agree that you know, if it wasn't the right place for them, then they should go. But obviously, Basfamil thought you were at fault. So,
I mean, my argument here is that Baskerville, where matters of what he covets are concerned, is entirely unreasonable, and I should have predicted that. But I thought I would have gotten away with it. That's probably where we are.
do you know where they are now?
No
Or
idea. No idea.
are you. Do you regret doing it?
Well, I'm free and on the road now, so I won't quite say no harm, no foul, but uh, no, no. At this moment, I do not regret it, though. I'm a complicated person with complicated feelings of regret for things I might have done because I didn't make things easy for myself. But, what am I going to do?
She's trying hard to stay serious and not smile, but she can't help it. She finds Dogtooth quite amusing, but in all seriousness, she did ask what like if he regretted it, and she's kind of happy with his answer that he didn't try to pass it off as like you know um, yeah, yes he did, no he didn't, or whatever, but like in a way that made it sound like it was maybe not meaningful. I think, as he said, like he's complicated, which makes him a little bit more relatable than these far-flung gods that are willing to
Hmm.
eke out heavy punishment for something like quite petty. So,
So if you're heading to the Wizard City, um, what you're going to skirt by your old cloister, or are you going to stop by for, you know, meet some of your old friends, pick up some of your stuff, uh, some new threads, maybe? What do you
uh,
reckon?
what's wrong with my threads? As she looks and probably is like shabby as hell, burned in certain places, just like a wreck.
They've been through the mill, right? Now that you take the time to look at them.
Yes, I can only imagine how I actually look. But like seeing like the burns and the shredding of her robes and travel outfit or whatever.
Mhm.
I lost my staff and just have my bag here. I should. I could, but I don't want to. I think if I did stop off at what was home, that somehow I would fall into old patterns, meet people that I've known for quite some time, and I would just get caught up in that again. And I don't want to. But
You don't think?
I guess I need to clean up some. Uh,
No, I mean, if I were you, I'd be wondering, maybe not fearing, but wondering if you've changed. If I return to my old stomping grounds, will I become my old self, or will I show that I am not?
hmm. I mean, I never really fit in where I was anyway. Pretty sure I wouldn't, even now. But could I walk out if it was comfortable, it was easy, and there was the promise of nothing bad happening? I don't know.
Well, maybe you'll go back when you're sure of the answer, but surer of the answer at least.
Yeah, not just yet. That's that's the surer answer that I have. Not just yet. And she'll take out Edmund's token and say, "Do you think we can get to High Towers
Oh,
pretty
sure.
easily?"
You can
Okay.
you can get to a high tower, no problem with that.
How long have you stayed in Edmund City?
I mean, not exactly in Edmund's circles, but yeah. I mean, disturbingly few places that will brew and sell red ale there, but they have a nice line of wines, you know. Um, so yeah, I'm sure some of those old places will still be open and serving for me if I were to return. But you know, not exactly a welcoming place for gods at present.
Huh. Interesting.
with the whole wolf's head thing going on.
True. What is nearby that you want to avail yourself of some red ale?
Well, I mean, Edmund had some, so I mean, I'm quite happy for now.
Hmm.
And I think he reveals a drinking pouch full, which I mean, you don't remember him having before or taking the time to fill it, but somehow it is now full of red ale. Um, uh,
Did Edmund give that to you willingly?
I mean, if I'd asked, it would have been a whole
You.
rigmarole. There would have been a lot of awkwardness. He would have felt like, oh, he had to invite me to stay, and then if I wanted to leave, it would have been a whole thing.
She
So
all of a
yeah,
sudden starts checking, like, her person, like, her bag, and so you stole from your friend?
I mean, I didn't steal. I mean, he would have given it to me if I'd asked. I just didn't want to have that awkward conversation.
Leaving me to have an awkward conversation with.
Well, you're much better at them than I am.
She kind of huffs and just is trying hard not to laugh. I mean, he's making it really easy to want to laugh, but she's trying to keep some kind of. You're incorrigible.
Well, let me put it like this. What do you have in your bag that I could possibly want?
She she checks her bag just to be sure. Well, definitely not ale or drink of any sort.
Okay. But if there were something in your bag that you think I would like and I asked for it, would you give it to me?
If I if it was available for me to give, yes.
Okay. Well, that seems really clear to me. Um,
You did not leave Edmund without, I hope.
he has got barrels of the stuff.
Okay. Okay. Just just asking. I mean,
Okay.
he
I
seemed
mean,
he's he seemed a
he's
decent
he's an
sort.
old man. I got some extra turf for him. He'll be fine. I even um, made sure his sheep were still on the pasture. I I don't have a sheep under my cloak. I didn't steal any of his sheep because if I'd asked, he definitely would have said no, right?
Yeah. If he didn't have it to spare, he would have said no.
Exactly, exactly. And who can spare a sheep, really, when it comes down to it?
Right.
I mean, incorrigible, that sounds like consistent, right, to me. Is that what the word means? Consistent, dependable. Um,
Sure. Sure. She's not even going to correct him at this point. She's just going to try hard not to laugh, but say, sure.
trustworthy, um,
You're pushing it.
stalwart,
You are
stalwart.
you are pushing it.
Okay. Pillar of the community. Um,
Wow. Wow. Oh,
incorrigible. That's
you
a
are
good
creating
word.
some interesting definitions for the word. Yes.
Because corrigible means bending, right? Or, you know, crooked or wavering. or
Now you're just being contrary.
oh, well, that's a whole different word.
Hmm.
Um, if I
I've
could
got many
wear
of them.
if I could wear words with as a badge of honor, it would be incorrigible and contrary. Those are my bywords from now on.
She indicates her left arm with all of the script on it. Not necessarily words per se, but symbols and such that she got from the voice of the cave. And she just kind of laughs a little bit. It's like, ah, well, evidently I have knowledge on me.
Hmm.
Maybe not those words, but yeah. If you want, I can scribe on you.
I'm
And she's
afraid to
just
get
half
pinned
kidding.
down. Yeah, I'm afraid to get pinned down to that. Maybe incorrigible won't mean what we think it means in the future.
Changing of meaning. You seem to be all about that.
Well, if you put it that way, but I thought there was something along the lines of beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Uh, oh, here's one I heard. The author is dead. That seems really harsh, but that's
That seems rather final.
yeah, yeah,
That's there's nowhere else to go from there. It's just uh, that's final.
yeah.
And I think that's kind of like, the discussion as they're going down the road. It's like, meanings of words or alternate names for dogs, Dogtooth or
Mhm.
something. Just like, having like kind of like a ribbing conversation where she's smiling more than thinking about exactly what she would do, like if she ended up in a city where the Wolf's Head are trying to get a footing. So, in a way, she's thankful for that he's kind of keeping her somewhat distracted. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think their feet are taking them wherever they're taking them. And if it is to high towers, great. And if it's not quite to high towers just yet, that's fine too. Maybe she needs to get to a place where she can, I don't know, get a change of clothes or to,
Mhm.
you know,
Um,
see other things.
so yeah, I think as we expanded, like Newbridge is the only place to cross the river.
Hmm.
So inevitably, no matter how far you might like to go, you have to pass through there first. Um, I wonder when we when it's been a while, but like not a huge amount of time has passed, but enough for things to have changed, enough for the wolf's head's grip on things to have solidified, enough for something to have changed. Um, I wonder if you you see something or you feel something in some other way that tells you um, that things have changed here, that the view of the world that the wolves have has kind of started to spread to your average person on the street in Newbridge.
What if it's a grim, like a kind of like a grim, dark um, attitude? Like people are quieter, people are looking towards that one part of the bridge that's the tower as well as the seat of power, but they look at it with trepidation and a little bit of fear. And it's not just one or two people, it's like everyone. They can't quite help themselves. As they pass through the shadow of the that tower, they all look. Maybe they kind of like, take a peek and then they look down as if they don't want to call attention to themselves. And it's almost like a pall has settled over the people. Maybe not so much those that are like only in for trade or temporarily, but even then, I think maybe some of them who look like visitors, maybe they are, um, you know, taking a peek at the tower in more in curiosity because they don't know the full extent of it. But the people that are here, they know, and so they are giving those looks. Can't believe I'm back here. I can't. I need to find a way to change clothes or get something else to wear. I don't want to be spotted by the wolf's head here.
Um, yeah, and I think you want to do something quite mortal to hide yourself, or are you tempted to use a
Oh,
power?
oh, that's true, right? I mean, I totally forget that I have that. And my divinity's already awakened, just waiting to be used, so I won't get anything different for that. Power. Is there anything? I mean, that's just such a general term, druidcraft. I mean, like, I'm not sure exactly how to um, parlay that into doing something.
Um,
Let's see. Look at powers. Use power. Wield a power. Only a
if
god can. Roll 2d6. Dice roll
Yeah,
doesn't
I wonder
work.
if we want to be very trad about it, you know, you can change into an animal, maybe, or something like that. Uh,
Hmm.
um,
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Hmm.
um, I guess, of course, if you wanted to like unleash your divinity, you'd be able to kind of shape reality around you. You know, maybe a song might make people ignore you.
Hmm. Yeah. You know what? Let's go ahead and make a change here. Give me a second. Yeah. I think she's hanging back. Like she's not necessarily going into town just yet. I mean, but she sees all the looks that people are giving the tower, and I think she's remembering one of the elders back at the cloister. And even though they were very austere, I think she was remembering one of the kinder ones, perhaps. And she's thinking of something that they did in a particular moment of happiness and joy, like something where they were going about their day, doing something pretty ordinary, but yet seemed very pleased about it, very happy, and it schooled their expression into something very pleasant and content. She's kind of thinking about that now, even as she's watching these people's faces look fearful and scared. Um, and she's kind of remembering a song that they had sung themselves. And maybe that's the song that she sings. Like she can feel it and she can see it weaving around her as if she's thinking about this person and then thinking of that sound of contentment and joy in their face. And perhaps that is shaping her aspect as she's using the divinity and she is changing her appearance to look like this old woman, complete with new robes, no, you know, like not, again, pretty austere, but clean and, you know, fresh, but like, has the aspect of this older woman with a pleasant expression on her face. Maybe the hood of the robes are like kind of lightly over her braided hair, which just like peeks out from underneath the hood, like kind of salt and pepper gray, and the lines of her face are quite pleasant and just you know crinkled up when she smiles, which she does. And I think maybe at this point Dogtooth realizes what she's done and it's like, giving her a look like, who are you? And she's like kind of like raising her hands in front of her face and seeing like, she's like wrinkled up or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but she feels her youthful self inside, but she is like taken on the aspect of this older woman.
Hmm.
What do I
Um,
look like right now? I mean, it's Wall's voice coming out of this old woman's
yeah.
facade.
Um, I don't know. Her name is at the tip of my tongue. I'm sure I recognize her from somewhere, but no, 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 that's part of it. I recognize her, but I don't have anything to say to her right now. Yeah, yeah. I guess a servant that people are used to ignoring. Is that it?
Close enough. Close
Hmm.
enough. I
So
can. And
do you
she's like she's
think,
gonna
oh,
make like she's speaking like this person. It's like what will make you happy, young man?
well, I don't think you want to stay here for long, old woman. I suppose we're just passing through.
We are, she says under her breath. Enough for you to get a drink and maybe get a little bit more information about what the wolf's head has done here. But in this guise, at least I can go around and not feel like I'm exposed. Because they sent me, they assumed, they sent me to my death at the bottom of the tower. So,
So in terms of your effect, what is your one side effect? Brief,
let's see.
obvious, or unstable?
Oh, let's see. Mm-mm-mm. Unleashing the divinity. Um, brief, obvious, or unstable. I think, yeah, I mean, I think it's, Hmm. It is not brief. It's. I mean, hmm.
Because I guess if you wanted brief, would it, you mightn't have time to stick around and do any spying of your own, but you might be able to just walk straight across the bridge and through the town before it wears off.
Yeah.
Um, Unstable might be, that the change, or like the person it is changes every so often. So it might be a little, I wouldn't say obvious, but might lead to some strange looks or questions or whatever. But
Hmm. Hmm. I
um,
mean, yeah. I mean, it might be unstable where it's like kind of goes from like this old woman that she's thinking of, but then depending on um like if she's by a water source where it's like reflective or something, like maybe people can see that it's her, you know? So, yeah. So I'm like, maybe it's if anyone looks at a reflective surface at her, then they can see that it's her underneath this old woman facade, perhaps. Um, so I don't know if that's like more obvious or unstable, but yeah.
yeah, maybe that's the initial form of the instability, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But I mean, like, it's gonna leave. So I mean, like, she knows that this is not gonna be a lasting form, that she can
Hmm.
take
Hmm.
just enough to be able to kind of get through and not be recognized by the wolf's head or what have you. I
Yeah.
mean, if he wants to spend some time and do some drink, okay, great. But I mean, you know,
Okay. Um, do you think we can take a break now?
yeah,
What do you reckon?
absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So, um, if you're happy to spend some extra time in Newbridge, is there something you're trying to establish beyond like the feel of the place now that the wolf's head seem to have taken over, or do you want to get up to something dangerous?
Hmm. I think she's going to act impulsively. Um, she's going to look at Dogtooth impishly with her new face and say,
If you want to go find some of that red ale, young man, I suggest going over to.
I think it was called the Broken Lantern back at
Yeah,
in you.
yeah.
I would suggest going to the Broken Lantern unless you already know this place to get what you want. I'm going to go over here by this tower and see what I can see.
Hmm.
Being very pointed about what she says. And perhaps, like, as she's making her way over to the tower, she's kind of like just poking around and just kind of like looking up at it and seeing if she can um, get, you know, any, like, overhearing any kind of talk from anyone. I think maybe perhaps uh, there are wolf's heads here or what have you, and they're like accosting people that are getting too close, you know. Um, so I think she's taking advantage of the fact that she's an innocuous old woman. I mean, what's the
Mm.
harm in that? She's a busybody or whatever. And
Um,
then she'll say, if they do accost her, then she's just going to be like,
I'm just looking, young man, or whatever, and then, just say I'm a visitor, and I just wanted to see what everybody is looking at. Everybody's looking up at that tower.
yeah.
what do you think the emotion that drives you to this impulse is? Like, is it almost like overconfidence, or is it like vengeance, or something in between?
Something like morbid curiosity, because I mean, again, seeing this change, this I mean, like, first it was just a trading town, right? I mean, everybody was going about their business, but now everybody's really like just taking a peek at this tower, and then like every time they look at it, it's like either with resignation or
Mhm.
a bit of despair, kind of a little bit what maybe she saw in Edmund's face, even. And she just is, I mean, that's where she was forced out of. So maybe she wants to try and, again, see if she can. She's determined. She's determined to see if she can get a better handle on what they're doing now. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so, um, so I think maybe what you notice, um, is that there's more here than you remember. But I think you notice maybe some of the younger recruits are are maybe locals, or maybe even um, maybe you even recognize like one of the people from the farmstead that was raided by the wolf's head, um, that in their desperation, people are signing on to this group who seem to have it all sorted, all figured out. So do you want to decide what advantage you seize, or what trouble hits you hard and fast?
I feel like I feel like it's either or for what I'm thinking of. I feel like because she looks like an old woman and looks like she's wearing like austere robes, that
Hmm.
they think that she's like a servant or something like that. So, it looks like, some of these younger recruits are kind of like waving some people through because they need to do some work in the tower, you know. Like serving different things or what have you. So I think maybe the advantage is like people that look very much like servants are bringing supplies into the tower itself. And she's, like kind of joining the group. Maybe not
Yeah,
wearing the same
yeah,
type of thing, but I mean, they're all shabbily dressed, of so like, and not like, in any kind of like livery or anything like that. So, I mean,
yeah. They're just like day laborers or something. No
mm-hmm.
one has a uniform or anything like that.
Right, exactly.
Um, and so yeah, like maybe it's not quite a toll, but it's, a taxing kind of merchants who are passing through. Um, they're obviously building up some kind of stockpile of supplies. And so, maybe you see someone struggling carrying like one too many bags of grain, and you know, um, take one off their shoulder and
I mean, she looks like an
put,
old woman, but again,
yeah,
she's
yeah,
still got this. She's still a young person underneath.
yeah, yeah.
So it's superficial.
But you're infiltrating the tower, right? You want to,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Because
I mean,
she's
You think you would
Impulsively
have learned your lesson
stupid.
the first time, right?
You would think, but again, I think I did this move the last time too. Act
Yeah, yeah.
impulsively.
I mean, it's it's a big red button that you cannot resist pressing.
No, no, no.
Um, and I think they are. I know previously when you came in here, there was like this kind of sentry area, and I think a lot of the place is now packed with supplies, and some are going downwards, and there's obviously like a level down there that's um for storage, and then a couple are going upwards to I know
Mhm.
where you had been previously.
Right.
Um, are you tempted to go up or down? Where are you most interested?
Oh,
Um,
up.
Up,
Absolutely up.
yeah.
You know.
Um, and I think you go up, and I think at that same point, I can't remember, 2 stories up or whatever, there's this council room, and there's like I won't say a heated debate going on there, but there's like people with strong opinions in there talking. And I think you recognize the voice of the leader, Keenan, as he kind of outlines what he thinks they should do. Um, and I think you hear a voice that sends a chill through your bones. A voice that sounds like it's a someone who would be happy to dismember you just like it might a housefly. And if you peek in, or maybe I should say when you peek in,
Mm-hmm.
you see uh I think on this chair near the window furthest from you, this bone mask that looks very chilling, unnaturally smooth, unnaturally white. Maybe the closest thing you can think of is like a horse's skull. And the orphan maker, as if this was going to be their point all along, says, well, perhaps we should ask our Godkiller what she thinks.
You don't pull any punches, do you? Oh boy. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Uh. Well, I mean, like, is he making any indications that like it's me, or he's just
Well,
saying it
I
out
mean,
loud, and then
I
she's just
guess
kind of like,
yeah, I mean, I think like you see them look at you and meet your eyes in the doorway, but I don't think the assembled wolf's head are kind of like, but like we killed her kind of thing, right?
mhm,
They're,
mhm, mhm.
they are not aware that you are here.
Right.
Um, what do you do?
Good question. It's a really good question. Yeah, it's not enough to. They're not in there. Let's see. Hold on. I mean, I'm sure. As long as I'm not recognized yet. I mean, like, it's as if, you know, there's anything I'm. Hmm. Poop.
what are you thinking? Or do you think
I mean, I
Wall
just want
is
to.
like frozen in this glare?
Uh, huh. I mean, but like, does it look like he's referring to me in this moment?
Oh, definitely.
Oh
Like
shit.
he knows you. They are looking directly at you with this strange glint in their eyes. Like,
Poop. Okay. I'm just looking at all the moves and trying to figure out what this is. Um. Thinking. Oh. Okay. So there's a couple of things that I would want to do at this moment. Um. But it hinges on the idea that I don't know if she could do this right now. Did we say that each time she recognizes a god or something like that, or like she knows about the gods because of her knowledge, that she knows what their downfall is, or like it's kind of like a should be hunting for that first, and then like seeing them as their true in their
yeah.
true
So,
form as a heart.
yeah. I mean, I think previously when you have stood toe to toe with a god,
Hmm.
their downfall in their heart has seemed very evident, right? We have
Yeah, yeah.
really pushed it. And some were just like blatantly obvious, and some you had to take some time to get to know, right? I
Right,
think
right,
the
right.
orphan maker for you right now is a bit of an enigma, right?
Yeah,
Um, I don't think their real nature is at all evident,
yeah.
not in this moment in time.
No, it's not.
So I think where before, you were confident that you could strike these gods down. Now
I mean,
that sureness, that sure-footedness in that regard is sorely lacking, and maybe you feel that for the first time, right?
hmm,
You
yeah,
feel the gulf between your ability to harm this god, um, and their ability to harm you. Where like when you stood toe to toe with the devil or
yeah,
Baphomet um, or even God, I should remember the Little Slaughter.
yeah.
You knew exactly what their deal was, and you struck with certainty.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
this Orphan Maker gives you kind of the heebie-jeebies. Let's finish that right.
Oh yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah.
Um, did I hear what their plan was? Like what Keenan was saying that what they should do just before Orphan Maker like made me put a spotlight on me?
Yeah, I think they were talking about kind of extending their power northwards. Um, um, kind of consolidating their power now that they own the trade routes, and so on. So like very, I don't know, very realpolitik, not to do with gods or anything like that. Just the business of being a rampaging mercenary company, you know.
Hmm. I think. Hold on. Power. Yeah. I think the Orphan Maker has. This is hilariously funny. I think the Orphan Maker has kind of tapped into that, like what I think the Godkiller thinks. And I think the Godkiller thinks that their plan is shit. I think, she'll get a resolute look on her wrinkled face and take a step into the room. And, as she takes a step into the room, it's like I feel like she's calling upon Little Slaughter's power to. I mean, she knows she's not going to affect Orphan Maker as Orphan Maker is, but I think she's going to show the Wolf's Head command here that she thinks their plan is shit. And almost like issuing a challenge to the Orphan Maker, like, I'm gonna take out your people and then I'm gonna take you out too.
Mhm.
um and I think when she hears, especially for, they're planning on extending their power northward, I think there's a pang, there's something in her that kind of, like, the bottom of her stomach drops out when she hears that. She doesn't know why yet, but it does. And that's when she takes the step into the room, focusing on the Orphan Maker, but reaching this power of gibbering pain to every single person here. Doesn't matter. Um, I think, actually, no, that it does matter, because it's like, especially if it's Keenan and the rest of the Wolf's Head Council. I think she's going to hone in on that sign of theirs, that badge of theirs, that they are Wolf's Head, and she will affect them all. So she's wielding a power to affect all of them that wear the Wolf's Head badge. She's done this before.
Mhm. Yep.
She's desperate for it to work, so I'm going to say she marks a strain for sure. Because it's like she's feeling it pounding in her head now.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's focusing on the Orphan Maker, but she's feeling it in her bones. She's feeling it in her skin. She's feeling it like reach outward and in up into her head. Um, it's like sinus pressure moving, and I don't know if she's close to anything related to Little Slaughter. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think so. Not here.
Okay, so that's a plus
So
two.
rolling with +2. Yeah.
That is a. Come on. That is a 6 plus 2 is an 8. I
Okay.
doed it.
You
Yep.
do this. Um, so yeah, I think um you see, and I think this is almost like a perfection of the attack you made on them uh in the Broken Lantern, right?
Hmm.
And I think the maybe it's this kind of uh rule honing in of what seemed most satisfying to you at the time, which was that the wolf's head cloaks they have attack them, right?
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, the like one of them turns to you and says like you're not supposed to be here, and like almost like starts to get up to to show you what they think of your presence here, and like maybe about to give you a backhand, and like the wolf on his shoulder just like bites off that hand
Mm-hmm.
entirely.
Yep.
Um, Full Fenris mode, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then the rest of them, get savage themselves,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and the
It's like a
orphan maker.
flurry of it's like a flurry of like fur and teeth because like their fur their yeah their
Hmm,
cloaks and such are attacking them, and it's like I can see like the tooth is the teeth are rendering into their skin, and like really digging in and just causing like just kind of that gibbering pain of like it is. She's also seeing it as like within as well, the terror and the carnage that they created when they invaded like the farmsteads, the villages, the city, and everything. I mean, like she's bringing all that home into the emotion that she feels. So like the little wrinkled face that was like so pleasant before is like has that resolute look
hmm,
of like almost enjoying it,
yeah.
just like kind of like the teeth, like she gives this smile to the orphan maker, directed right at the orphan maker. It's like all teeth, both both top and bottom.
Yeah, and they stand and they step forward and they swipe a hand, and the wolf heads go still. They're still savaged, but
Hmm.
it's stopped. And I think you feel your shape, or the illusion shift
Yeah.
when they do this. And you're now like, I don't know, a little girl, maybe someone who used to um, help you out uh, with something back at the cloister. And the orphan maker says, "It's impressive that you're willing to sacrifice the people you loved in your past life just to get closer to your enemies. I will remember those people, the old lady, the girl, and whoever else you show me as you run screaming for your life."
I screamed more than once in my nightmares. You've probably seen them, and I'm sure you are going to make good on your promise. But know this: I will make you pay for all whom you've made empty and parentless. And as she's saying this, it's like it's almost like a growl because she doesn't know where this is coming from. At least she doesn't remember. But these are words that she's wanted to say for quite some time. And she knows that she's speaking to the right person, the right God for this. And she feels that thrumming again, and her stomach bottoming out, as she's saying these words. And she means every single one of them.
And if the orphan maker was capable of a smile, they would smile. Well, I suppose you might be inclined to race to your home to save your friends, but you won't be able to. And they blink out of existence. you feel like a almost like a blackout, like your vision narrows, um, and they disappear into that. And when you blink again, your vision is back, and you can see two or three of those wolf's heads clambering to their feet, afraid and angry.
She backs out of the room and will, like, hurry down and out and then see if she can find Dog's Tooth. I mean, I think she's still wearing, like, her robes, like,
Yeah,
because he's changed, like, he's let the illusion melt away, or maybe it was that unstable, like now she's like, now it's gone, but she will flick her hood over her face, at least for right now, and then hurry down to the broken lantern and see if she can find Dogtooth. I mean, if he comes, he comes, and if not, then she's gonna book it, at
yeah,
least out of here for right now.
um, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what it's been like half an hour or whatever since you said goodbye to him,
Hmm.
and he is standing on the table with I don't know two tankards in his hands, and he's just telling a story about the person who slayed a god in their palace, saving an unworthy prisoner from their face, and they're lapping it up. Uh, and he looks at the door as you enter, and like he looks a little confused because, hey, I only just got here.
Oh man. Does everybody look relatively drunk, or are they still kind of like, still,
I
you know,
mean, I
sober?
mean, they didn't only get here half an hour ago.
Right. Right. I mean, I think she's going to, given his godhood, I think she's not even gonna worry about shouting or anything like that. She's gonna mouth over to him. She's gonna speak in a normal voice, but I think she
Hmm.
knows that he's gonna be able to hear. It's like, I'm leaving. I have to leave.
Okay,
It's the
well,
orphan maker. And if you want to stay, just so you know, I'm heading north.
okay. Well, I think he looks at you and again in a he knows you understand. He says, "Oh well, our paths are going to meet again, I'm sure."
I'm sure. And she will kind of like give him a weird salute or something like that, and then she's gonna hurry out of the Broken Lantern and
Mhm.
head out of Newbridge as soon as she can.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to the cloister, or where do you think you're heading once you get out of town?
She doesn't want to, but she's gonna have to see now. She's gonna have to see if he's going to reveal, if they're gonna reveal themselves, or if they're just gonna outright, or if they've already taken over. Who knows? She has not been back since she left. So now I guess she's returning back to the cloister.
Mhm.
Doesn't really want to, but you know. She doesn't want
So
to
it,
she doesn't want to admit, like, that the way home is might have been right, but I mean, like, very reluctantly. This is not the return to stay. This is the return to check on people.
so yeah, so I guess you move again through territory that is now familiar to you, this farmland, this hinterland of the cloister. Um, I mean, I think less ravaged by war than when you last passed, but just about recovering, I think is how we put it. Um, and again, I wonder, when you pass through the gates of the cloister, what what change do you feel here?
Well, first off, did I see any signs of the wolf's head in the village?
Um, so no, I mean, I guess you would have passed a couple of villages for sure. Certainly
Yeah,
the one directly outside the cloister, which you saved from Little Slaughter, or
yeah,
uh, took vengeance on Little Slaughter for the destruction of.
yeah.
But there doesn't seem like any real sign of the wolf's head here.
What about what about pestilence?
No sign of pestilence either.
That kind of gives her pause because she evacuated because she thought she saw pestilence moving in closer to the cloister and the village and such. Hmm. She steps in and it's quiet. I mean, at what time of day or night is this that she gets in into the cloister?
Yeah, maybe it's just past dusk, so people are still up and about and in their doing their business, but not especially busy.
I think as she enters the gate, I think she's going to feel something out. I mean, it's welcoming on the surface in that, I mean, I would want to know if there are advanced signs of the orphan maker coming, or maybe he's already been here, or, what's really changed, if anything, since she left. And I think what feels welcoming is the fact that, I mean, like, they're still following the usual structure of the day. Like, since it's just past dusk, it's like she imagines that the dinner bell has already rung and they are now in the meditation you know time, um, repose. They're getting ready to ring for the resting period, after repose. And yeah, I mean, it's quieting down because they're getting ready for sleep. But yeah, I mean, it's familiar, so that's why it's
Mhm.
welcoming.
Yeah. Um, and I think, when you walk through the town towards your usual haunts, everything seems almost exactly as you recall it. But what you'd notice is that there are definitely fewer people here. There are some familiar faces which you would have, put money on being on such a corner or at such a place at a certain time, and some of those are missing. Um, and it seems like powers that be here are ignoring the kind of the decimation of the populace, whether they imagine that it will pass or whether their adherence to the forms will bring the town through. It's hard to know.
Did she see Junal when she came through?
Um, I think um I'm not sure. Did we? I know we discussed, the kind of routine that they had in their kind of pronouncements and punishments. Do you think there is somewhere that they would be at dusk on this day, or
Yeah, I think it's almost like Junal had rounds and such, and when uh, Wall would sneak out, you know, especially for those jaunts to the cave or what have you. Um, I think maybe she would see Junal like making their way to a particular alleyway. I mean, like not really alleyway. What am I saying? It's like kind of like a shelter, like in between certain buildings in the village, and maybe she would know to kind of check there
Hmm.
around the time that she gets in, like for to see if Junal's around.
um yeah, so I think they are there. But they are holding a knife, a bloody knife.
Junal, why why are you holding that knife? Why why is there blood on it? Is it yours? I mean, can Wall see any kind of injury or anything like
And
that?
yeah, they give you like a manic smile. And I think you see, I think you kind of see, I mean, there's maybe blood splatters on their face. And they say, I had an orphan to make.
Junal, what did you do? Who,
My prayers were answered by a god. I was asked to perform a service that I will be rewarded for. That's what you always wanted, isn't it?
not like not like that. Junal, who did you? She can't say it fully, so she just says, "Who did you attack?"
Is such an ugly word. Sacrifice, I think, is more appropriate.
Who did you sacrifice, Junal?
Only those necessary to send a message.
Junal, where are they? Where are those that you attacked?
They'll be in their houses, I'm sure.
Wall will back out away from Junal and check on the was the little girl one from the village?
Mhm.
Yeah, she'll check on the little girl first.
And I think you find what makes the most sense? Yes, the girl's parents were tanners, so they're like a little bit out of the way because of the hideous smell
Mm-hmm.
that goes
Yeah,
with tanning.
yeah.
And I think you see her like sitting in the mud outside her home. Um, the 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 house is smoldering a little bit, but there are bloody handprints on the door lintel.
If we have not given this little girl a name, I'm going to call her Nara. Nara, Nara, where are your parents?
Well, uh, they're inside.
Nara, who brought you out here?
I went in. I came home and I went in and I just came out here.
Did you see? Did you see what happened to your parents inside?
And I think she opens her hand and there's blood on it.
And I think yeah, she sees a flash of that, like Wall will see a flash of that, and I think there's a there's a memory that she is trying very hard to tamp down as soon as she sees that, and she's just kind of shaking herself out of that and trying to stay in the present. Nara, it's going to get cold out here. Do you want to come back to the cloister with me? They will give you a place to stay. Does it seem like she's in shock or just, is she responsive at all?
I mean, yeah, I think there's definitely some amount of shock here, but she stands up and is like she wants to leave, right?
Yeah.
If she goes with you to the cloister, maybe she can forget.
Yeah. She,
Ma- Yeah. Do we want to take a break now? I wondered. Or do you want to?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you need a break, I mean, like, I'm fine. Or I can press on. That's fine too.
Okay. Let's keep going for a while. I'll see where we end up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So you're taking her back to the cloister. What do you say, or what do you do on the way?
I think if she's small enough, I mean, I think Wall will actually gather her up in her arms and and kind of, you know, like tell her not to look. Like she'll use part of her robes or whatever to kind of like hide the child's face. It's like shh, shh, it'll be all right. She's not really believing her words, but she feels like
Hmm.
she has to say something. So she's hiding the child's face so the child doesn't look back at the burning house, the smoldering house, and will take her to the cloister. And again, it's like, it seems rather empty, but as usual, the eventide bells go off, or whatever bells it is at now, and she seeks out maybe the elder that she had been thinking about, that she had embodied for at least a little while.
Um. So yeah, I think you find her um in her little uh I don't know, like a beehive hut adjoining the cloister proper. Um.
I think this elder's name is Azure, like the color. Is she okay? Is Azure okay in her chambers?
So I think she is sitting um near her little fireplace, and her breathing seems uh shallow and rickety, but maybe that's not too unusual. Um, Wall, I have been expecting you.
Azure.
Someone came, but they spared me. They said I was so close to dying anyway.
What?
It would be a mercy. Speed me on my way.
No. You, you were fine. I wasn't gone that long. I. And she starts to form tears in her eyes, but she realizes she still has Nara in her arms.
Hmm.
I brought little Nara. Her parents, they're they're
There's
gone.
there's nothing but death in this cloister now.
What?
Pestilence has taken root.
A shudder goes through Wall's body. What?
Maybe the young and the strong have been saved, but not the old folk like me.
No, 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 no. You are one of the hearts beating here at the cloister. You can't go. You're just as vital as any of them.
I don't think I have very long left, but I'm so glad I saw you again. I know you wanted more out of life. I'm sorry I couldn't give it to you, but I gave you what I could.
I know. I thank you. I thank you for that, Azure. Is this natural, or is this something that pestilence brought on?
Hmm. What's the difference? The gods are the gods. We cannot. We can just pray for them to intercede, and we can pray for them to ignore us. But they are natural parts of life.
Not when they consider us less than worthy. Not like this. Not like this.
I, I have dinner. Uh, your favorite stew. You and Nara can cook in. I don't have much appetite. She can use my bowl.
Well, we'll put down Nara at the table and pull the bowls so Nara has something to eat, and wrap her up in a blanket from the cupboard, but also take the blanket from the bed and wrap Azure in it. Have a little water. Have at least a little bit of this. Let me make you comfortable while we take part of your hospitality. She's trying to keep her voice even and pleasant. And then she will slowly have some of the stew as well, just making sure that Nara's eating and that Azure is comfortable. Is there anything I can do for you? Anything at all?
Sing me one of your songs, Wall. I want to hear your stories one last time.
She makes a pained look on her face, but she will comply. She will sing of pleasant times, warm times, in a place where the weather is good, the sun is shining, and darkness doesn't hold sway over time. She pulls out stanzas from the things that she's read, maybe even some of the places that she's seen, and without even realizing it, I think some of what she's done, blasting gods down from their pedestals. She kind of improvises and works that into the songs as well. Not talking about herself, like saying that she was the one that did it, but just talking about these gods falling. And, yeah, she tries to keep her breathing even and slow so she can sing, and sing with some strength, I think Nara has had her fill and is listening along with Azure, trying to put some kind of smile on Azure's face in these last moments, minutes, whatever she has.
I think before Azure drifts off, uh, she does smile and she says, "Oh, this one is perfect, Wall. You'll have to write it down. You'll have to teach someone else your beautiful song."
I feel like she wants to manifest a miracle.
So, um, when you want to manifest a miracle, sacrifice a power, describe how you channel that power into the world to its fullest potential, and then erase it from your sheet. You can never use it again.
Right. I think she reaches out and touches Azure and realizes how cold she's getting, even with the blanket on. And she just doesn't want to let go. I mean, it just doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem right. And I think little flickers of flame are dancing over her head, also in her eyes, as she tries to, not the burning, but just the heat, the warmth of it, trying to feed it into Azure, trying to cast some light. It may be hellfire, but it can cast light into this shadow and bring heat to that which is cold. Yeah, I mean, even if she can't quite save her from death, then at least give her a little bit more time where she's healthier.
Um, I mean, do you think there is something, um, something that is staving off the pestilence, something that like burns it out of her?
Yeah,
Or do you
I
think it's
think
something,
no. I mean, let's see. Yeah, yeah. Let the devil's power burn some of that rot out, and that's the thought that is behind Wall's uh, action. Yeah,
um, I think maybe inside you, you feel that this act is, I know, so inimical to the nature of the devil, this act of mercy, that it is like destroying it within you. Like the spirit is itself burning out in
yeah,
rage at
yeah.
this mercy.
She doesn't care.
Um,
She's
I mean, that's a
she's
bonus, right?
yeah. That's a bonus. That's fine.
Um,
She's turning it around so this way it's like, she's gonna give some time
uh,
back. That pestilence is stolen away. Fight a god's power with another god's power. And she's willing to sacrifice that for sure.
Hmm. Okay.
So,
Uh,
yeah, if you want to, yep, cross that
just
out.
cross that one out. Okay.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and I think maybe it's evident to you, but it's not evident to anyone else until maybe morning when
Yeah.
Azure is not kind of ashen with a racking chest pain. Not quite 10 years younger, but effectively, no, given that she's no longer on her deathbed.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I'm not sure that Nara notices the difference.
She might have dropped off. She might have
Yeah,
dropped off
yeah.
like in the middle of the night. So, I mean, like, it wouldn't surprise Wall in the least that it's, you know, not.
Mhm,
Um, but I feel also that seeing this, that she's given back at least a little bit, she warns Azure about what had happened to Nara's parents
mhm.
and also what was going on with why they were getting ready to kill her. And so, is there anywhere that you can go, that you can be safe away from here? While you're here, you're in danger
Mhm.
because I'm putting you in danger.
I mean, this is the only home I've known. I'm sure we'll be safe here. We'll hardly be safer elsewhere.
Watch out for Juno. Don't go near where Juno lurks. Don't let Nara leave the cloister. I think Juno was the one sent to kill on behalf of the god that sent her. I don't know how to. I don't know how to keep you safe.
It's not your job to keep me safe, Wall. I know you can solve this problem. I know you'll find the knowledge and the wisdom somewhere.
I had to come back. They threatened you. They threatened Nara. I couldn't save Nara's parents. How do I know that when I leave that you're going to be okay? At least for until I can get back.
You don't worry about us, child. We'll manage.
Teach Nara. Teach Nara everything you taught me. And if you remember the song I sang, please write it down for me. I'll be back. I'll be back to sing it again. But I have to. I have to go and kill a god. Maybe that's where we leave that scene. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's
her
I mean,
Her face getting very resolute of,
yeah.
oh, you made the mistake of going on my turf, man. Oh,
I mean, I think that might be a good place to wrap for the day.
yeah,
In fact, yeah.
yeah.
Give us some space before we go on this rampaging, roaring path of revenge.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. We'll stop the recording and do our debrief.
Okay.